Hello and welcome to my third ever attempt at casting. I'm Annie, aka Android, and let's see what this game has to offer. It looks super interesting. According to Dotabuff, it's an extraordinarily high skill game, under the very high skill category, so thank you to Loreberry for submitting it to the Dota 2 Caster Reddit, and I look forward to it. Alright, on the side of the Radiant, we have Reckless on the Mirana, we have Montezuma's Revenge on the Razor, we have I'll Get the Iodine on the Slark, Dr. Spatzo on the Shadow Demon, and Fat Neil on the Clinks. Up on the Dire side, it looks like we have Centaur being played by Presto, we have Bruiser on the PL, CM being played by Loreberry, and Sandwich 19 on the Lina with the Arcana, so you know they're going to be good, and Storm Spirit being played by Stockmania. Down bottom, it looks like we're going to have a Shadow Demon and Mirana laning together, which should be pretty interesting. Pretty cool Mirana set, by the way. And it looks like there's going to be some rune contest up top. CM and the PL are wrapping in. In terms of starting items, we've got wards being placed down by the Radiant on the Shadow Demon and the Clinks. And it looks like Stockmania is holding on to one ward for himself. Down bottom, looks like the Dire have a pretty good set of control over this bottom rune, although the Shadow Demon and the Mirana are looking to contest it a little bit. Should be interesting to see how that spawns. Shadow Demon walking in, finds the Lina, trades a last hit, but nothing much. Mirana does end up scaling her arrow, possibly seeing some initiation possible down at this bottom rune. And with the game ticking down to 0, it looks like Shadow Demon might be able to grab this rune. He does grab a bounty rune, and up top, Razor grabs the other bounty runes. A really good start for the Radiant, starting off with both bounty runes. That's an extra 200 gold in their pocket, and they're able to just show that much of a lead early on. So up top, it is going to be the CM playing support for this farming PL, which would be really nice, get him off to a nice good start. He does have a lot of regen, so probably anticipating taking a bunch of damage. Down bottom, Razor will still be trying to hit on this Storm Spirit as hard as he can. A little bit of all chat coming out there. Storm Spirit still holding onto the ward, trying to figure out, where's the most efficient place to put that, trying to figure out exactly where he needs to drop it down. Up at top, Clinks is trying to get some early farm, shooting out his arrows. CM is sitting in the trees trying to harass, but nothing too special will come out, trading some hits onto him. Down bottom, it looks like it is going to be Mirana roaming around, probably trying to help out as best she can. There is going to be a Dire Observer ward right here on this cliff, so they are going to see this Mirana rotation coming out. In the middle, it looks like Lina is getting some good harass on the Razor. Her auto attack range is just that much longer that she can poke him without being worried about taking damage herself. Centaur is taking a fair amount of damage from the Slark. He does level his Hoof Stomp first, so he can't get the return damage onto him. But looks like they are farming up pretty well. Centaur is sitting at 2 last hits, while Slark is at 4 and 3 denies, so Slark is doing a little bit better in this farming stage, but as Centaur skills, as he gets points in return, as he's able to, hit a little bit harder, he'll be doing fine. Interestingly, Centaur does not have a Quelling Blade, which is a fairly standard Centaur item, but it looks like he's not going to be needing that much help. Last hitting, he's confident he'll be able to make up the ground. Trying to trade hits onto Slark, but Slark does get in one auto attack, while Centaur does manage to get none. Up top, looks like Clinks is going to be forced back a little bit, uses up one of his Tangos, taking some heavy damage from the Crystal Maiden and the PL, but nothing too severe. Down middle, Lina's getting pinged out. It looks like the Radiant are rotating in for a gank. Razor pops his field. Shadow Demon puts him in the little bubble. Mirana arrow comes in, hits perfectly. Illusion's being popped, and there we go. Looks like Lina will be the first blood going down to the Razor. That'll help him out a lot. He's now sitting on 960 gold. He'll be able to purchase his next item real soon now. Up top, Mirana takes a bounty rune, and down bottom, an illusion rune is sitting under Dire Vision, but it doesn't look like they're going to be rotating for that. Up top, down bottom, Slark actually does get a pick off on the Centaur Warrunner. He has to pop his salve to keep it up, but that is a great trade for him. He's now sitting on over 1,000 gold, so he should be able to start working on his items pretty soon. Up top, Radiant are going to rotate trying to find the Storm Spirit, but it looks like they are just a little bit too deep. The Centaur is going to TP in, see what he can do to defend, but they are worried about these Radiant rotations. Alright, so Mirana and Shadow Demon are ready to start doing some combos, but they see the Centaur there. Do they get a little scared? Arrow pops, but is there much follow-up they can do? They don't do a lot of damage at this point. CM rotating in, possibly able to cast a freeze and hold them in place, but it looks like they should all be able to get away unless the Shadow Demon gets chased down, possibly falling victim to another Hoof Stomp. but I don't think Centaur will have the mana. Lina's stun comes out, and he does end up going down. Good job on the Centaur getting the last hit there. He'll be able to grab himself some boots off of that. Up top, PL's farming up pretty nicely. Klink's in the Shadow Walk, so he's not going to be seen by anyone anytime soon. PL grabbing treads. Great timing for that. Just over 3.5 minutes. Really well done by the PL. He is sitting comfortably at 22 last hits, so he's doing really well right there. And Klink's is only sitting at 15, so he's having a little bit of trouble in this lane, mostly because of the CM, keeping him back, holding him back a little bit, while PL has free farm. Looks like they are going to try to jump in on him, but he just goes invis and walks away. Slark is up in the top lane, pushing the lane up a little bit too far, so he can't exactly get last hits under the tower. Looks like they are pinging out the PL here. They jump in on him, but is the Shadow Demon going to go down? It looks like he will go down again to the PL, and down middle, Razor gets picked off by the Lina, so pretty even trade coming out. In terms of XP, Radiant is in control right now, but it is swinging back into the Dire's favor with those 2 lucky kills. And in terms of gold, it's pretty much the same as the XP graph, same trend. Radiant started off real strong, getting nice kills there, but the Dire are showing that they're not ready to concede this as a loss just yet. It is only under 5 minutes into the game, so there's still a lot of time for things to turn. Slark running away for his life, but will Centaur be able to make it out? He's going to get punished for this, and he will go down. Razor getting that kill, really important on him, sitting on another 400 gold right now. Slark feeling really lucky to be alive. Up top, the Klink's is still trying to hold his own, sitting only on a Sage's Mask and 3 branches and 200 gold in the bank, so he is not feeling a lot of wealth right now. Let's see if he can come back later on in the game once he starts doing a fair amount of damage. Centaur will be TPing back down, but it looks like there is still the Razor in lane. He hasn't rotated back to middle, so he's going to be trying to give the Slark some extra support to make up for his early last-hitting troubles. He's now sitting comfortably at 24 and 11, 25 and 11 now, so he's doing a little bit better. Razor could use some help with his farming. He's only about 9 and 4, but he does have a couple kills on him. He has 2 kills and 1 death, which is pretty good for this point in the game, as Razor is able to make up a lot of damage later on. Going in, initiating on the Centaur. Centaur stomps, gets both of them, and looks like Centaur's going to double edge, but will he have enough damage to bring anyone down? Looks like Razor will bring him down again, so really good job on the Razor. Now has completed Aquila, boots, and Belt of Strength, and 360 gold in the bank, so he's making out really well at 5.5 minutes in the game. Radiant creeps are pushing up to the Dire Tower, doing about a 5th damage, but nothing too severe. Lina's doing really well, going to try to get this Invis rune. She's going to bottle it right up, and she will cast it right away. Is she going to try to reinitiate on the Shadow Demon? Doesn't look like she's going to do that. Just walk safely back to mid, but there is actually a roaming Slark up here. I'm not sure what he's trying to go find, but he's pretty deep in the Dire territory right now, knowing by his passive he's not being seen. Looks like he will be trying to jump on this CM right there. He does get frozen up, but he will go down to a Klink's arrow after a Slark pounce. And PL's going to go back in, try to initiate on this Klink's. He does not have Shadow Walk up yet, and he will die. So now it's just a man fight between the Slark and the PL, and who's going to come out on top? It looks like PL might win just by numbers, but Slark does get some good right clicks, and Shadow Demon ends up taking the kill with that one right click. Probably Slark might be a little mad at that because the support Shadow Demon shouldn't be the one taking the kills. Lina does stun up the Shadow Demon, but Shadow Demon pops the bubble and puts some illusions on her. Doesn't look like anyone's going to come out really on top here unless the Lina chases her down. She does have ult up right now, and that might be able to do enough damage. Let's see what happens. There we go. She does bring him down with the ult, but she's going to get punished. She pops her TP. Will she be able to get out on time? The Slark pounce misses, and she's able to get back to base just fine, storing back up on her mana. Down bottom, there is some pretty even trading with Centaur and Mirana. Mirana has the range advantage, but Centaur just hits so much harder. He's sitting at 71, while she's only hitting at 58 right now. PL Illusion's doing some work, making his last hitting really easy. He's now sitting at 38 comfortably, which is pretty good for 7.5 minutes into the game. Razor picking up some free farm mid, making up on his less last hits than ideal. He's only about 12 and 4 right now, but he can make that up pretty easily. He does have 3 kills under his belt, so that'll help him out with the gold and the experience. Lina's coming back in. She's probably a little upset at this Razor for getting her down so far, but her last hitting is so much better at 21 and 3. Storm waiting for this rune to spawn. He will pick up a nice bounty and get himself some more gold, but there's a regen unspotted down at bottom, and looks like Slark will be trying to go grab that for himself, but will he run into this Lina right here? Let's find out. He's camping it, and he takes it as soon as he sees Lina. He pounces on her. Can he do anything? Stun misses, and he's just hitting her really hard. Lina ult pop, but he's still up. Can he take the final kill? He will. Slark will bring down the Lina single-handedly, and arrow being dodged. Lina doesn't even need to take that arrow. He gets her down right away. He does have a poor man's shield, so he's able to take a lot of damage, and he also does have 2 sentry wards for himself, hopefully trying to scout out anyone that might be cheeky enough to invis away. Razor's going to get some harass on the mid tower right here, popping his plasma field just to get the creeps down a little lower, so he'll have an easier time cleaning them up and pushing back to tower, because he anticipates having some free room mid now. Looks like Mirana's going to be trying to do as much as she can to this Dire tower, getting it down pretty low. And Dire are a little scared. They're afraid to go out too far on their own. They've been trying to go get picks, get runes, but they are being punished by the Radiant, who's rotating pretty smart and getting the pick-offs they need. Slark and Razor doing notably a good amount of work getting these kills early on. Crystal Maiden and PL still forming their formidable push lane. PL getting all the way to the Radiant Tier 1 tower and getting some good harass on the Clinkz, who's sitting at 33 last hits, so he's doing a pretty good job for himself. CM will freeze up the Razor, but Razor does get his tether on her, and Razor will get that final kill, even though Lynx does pop a last hit, so that'll get him not even an assist there. He does get a little cheated out of that. It would have been nice to have the kill, but on the Razor it's good too. He now has 4 last hits, and he's feeling, 4 kills, and he's feeling very comfortable with his carry position right now. He only has an Aquila and Treads, but he does have 1,000 gold in the bank, so that should make things pretty easy for him when he goes to buy his next item. Clinkz now has his Soul Ring, so mana shouldn't be a problem, and he should be able to invis away more often when he needs to. Looks like we have 3 Dire heroes sitting on mid. They're going to be going down. Storm's going to grab this bounty rune. He'll bottle it up, and he'll have that extra gold in his pocket. He has a wand with 0 charges, so not doing much for him now, but hopefully later on in team fights when there's spells being cast up the wazoo, he'll be doing better. Phantom Lancer does end up going down to the Razor, so another kill for Razor, but they will pay for it with their Shadow Demon being cleaned up by the double damage Lina. Crystal Maiden's sitting pretty low, but she's not ready to leave this fight. Centaur ult being popped, she pops down an Observer Ward and retreating safely behind the creeps. Storm getting some free farm mid, bottling up just to keep his mana up. And there's not much Slark can do aside from clean up under tower. He's not really able to take down the Storm here single-handedly, with only about half health. Dire are going to get a pretty good push up on this top tower. In terms of XP, it is still in the Radiant's favor by about 1,500, but there's nothing that can't be made up for later in the game as the cores start to get big. There are some pretty beefy cores, so PL is going to be someone that's going to, if they farm really well, get really, really big, really massive, hard to stop. But they do have their Clinkz and their Slark on terms of the Radiant team, so it really depends how this game goes, how the farm goes, and in which directions the kills go. I think tower is going to play a really important advantage in this game, so whoever can get the more towers down faster is going to have a much easier time rotating around the map, because there are so many great rotations right now. There are 4 Radiant heroes just sitting in the Dire jungle looking for whoever they can find. So, the more space on the map that's free for people to roam in and out of, the more luck they're going to have with their pickoffs. Down bottom, it is still Mirana farming up. She does grab her phase boots pretty early, so this is not a support Mirana. She's going to be going fairly core, fairly roaming heavy. She's able to chase down her prey. Centaur is going to be picking up his Tranquil boots and his Stout shield, but he only has about 670 gold in the bank, so nothing too sizable for him. Up top, there's going to be some harass coming out from the Shadow Demon, letting the Dire know that they're in the jungle and you better get back. They do grab the top tower, and that's going to help them out a lot in these rotations, especially in the top Dire jungle. But now Slark is getting chased down. Will he be able to bait them in? Clinkz is also, saying, come and catch me. I don't have any friends here, no way. There is a regen rune that's going to be picked up by the Slark. And down bottom there's a bounty rune that looks like Centaur might try to grab it after he's finished with his Ancients. He is taking a lot of damage from these Ancients. I'm not sure if he'll be able to finish off the camp. I don't know if that's the smartest move for him. Yeah, he decides, they're just doing too much damage. It's best to get out of here alive. Alright, Shadow Demon is pinging out this rune for his friends. Looks like Clinkz is going to grab it up because he is pretty low mana and about half health. So Dire are feeling pretty scared. There's about 3 rotating in their jungle trying to get some vision down, but they are underneath this Radiant Observer ward right there. And another one right here, so good job on the Radiant, keeping it warded, keeping it able for them to move. There is a Dire Observer ward right there in the top of their jungle, and a Radiant Sentry that is just out of range of that. Look at that, that's like three little ticks away of where it could have been really helpful to try to deward them and get them some more space. But right now it does look like there is a Slark that's going to be running in on this PL. Will he be able to pick off the right one? He does pounce, but PL does cast his, split up illusions before he can get on there. Shadow Demon helping out, keeping him in place with the bubble, and getting some more PL illusions, although these ones are in the Radiant favor. And looks like they may not be able to catch him. He is a speedy little bugger, but the Shadow Poison does bring him down for the Shadow Demon. So good job on the Shadow Demon knowing that, he's there and he's low and it's time to kill him off. But there are 4 Dire heroes sitting mid, looking like they're going to be able to push this tower down pretty easily. It is less than half health. Are the Radiant going to put out a Fortify? I'm not sure that they will even want to contest this, because there's not much they'll be able to do when they're all rotating in separately. There are 2 Radiant two Radiant top, Slark and Clinks, the big right clickers that are sitting trying to get this tier 2 tower down, possibly forcing back a rotation. The tower does go down. Dire structures fortified to protect against the tier 2 top, and Razor ends up getting picked off by the Centaur, so that'll help him out a lot with his farm. Now 1,500 gold that he can work into whatever item he decides to grab next. All 4 Dire are rotating up through the jungle, but they are under Radiant Observer wards, so the Radiant know it's time to back out of there. There's no reason to stay. We're just going to be easy prey. So up top, PL's cleaning up the top push. Down bottom, there's still a bounty rune unclaimed that's going to go away in about a minute and a half. Mirana doing a real good job farming up bottom. She now has 21 gold in the bank, so whatever item she's going to go for next, she'll be able to grab it pretty shortly. 3 Radiant mid, just cleaning up the last push, trying to get it back on the other side of the river, although there is a Dire Observer ward right over there, and that'll spot out 3 rotating mid. So Dire know where the Radiant are, they feel safe cleaning up their top lane. They do not know that there's a sentry here, but it doesn't look like it's going to be doing a whole lot of work because there's nothing really can see. Radiant Observer ward being popped down right there. They're just so close. The sentry ward's just so close to that one. Alright, Slark does manage to pick off a Centaur Warrunner who looks like he poked his head into mid lane a little bit too far, and he was punished for that. Crystal Maiden now seeing what they can do. Clink's taking some harass from the tower and pops his soul ring, so he's going to be low health and low mana. Probably not the best time for them to initiate in the fight. Although, Slark and Razor are wrapping up. 2 big damage dealers. Slark misses the pounce, but he's able to pop the Dark Pact and do a lot of damage with his right clicks. They do bring down the CM, but is Slark going to be able to get out alive? He does have his ult if things go sour for him. They are going to try to push down this tier 2 mid. Razor feeling pretty comfortable building his Ags already, either that or BKB. Either one would be a good choice for him at this point. A lot of Dire heroes are rotating in. They're going to try to get their revenge on this Razor. Moonlight Shadow being popped, but Dust does come out, so they are ready for this Moonlight Shadow. Razor gets picked off, another Dust coming out onto the Slark, and looks like he will go down as well to the PL illusions. Actually, Lina ended up getting that one with her big fiery push thing. So really good trade for the Dire on that one. They did end up getting a fair amount of push done on their tower, but they go in and they clean up the Radiant and take down the Slark and the Razor, which are 2 of their biggest players, and looks like Clinks is going to be trying to reinitiate on this PL, moving in pretty fast. Is he going to be able to get him down? Popping his illusions, are they going to be able to find out which the real one is? It looks like they will, but Lina popping the Yules, really good stun on her. Good timing on the Yules too. They do clean up this Clinks that got a little too greedy, chasing down this PL under the tier 1 tower. So it looks like the fight is kind of reset. Radiant saying, oh no, we had an advantage, but did we lose it? It looks like it is still, XP is still in the Radiant's favor, but not for long. It's starting to turn down towards the Dire. Gold is still in the Radiant's favor as well, possibly just due to this farming Mirana that's had all the space in the world. She does now have her Maelstrom, so she's able to, clean up these creeps even quicker than before, get the push done. And she's pretty much been left alone this game, not really anyone trying to bug her, anyone trying to push her out of lane. It's been very teamfight oriented so far, but Mirana's just been sitting out of it and getting her farm up, so good job on her. Clink's coming in to clean up these creeps down bottom. In terms of items, anyone making anything big yet? Not particularly. Everyone's buying their treads, everyone has their tier 2 boots, aside from this Crystal Maiden, so it depends what she's going to go. In terms of her build, she does have 2 points in this Arcane Aura right now. They're trying to pull in this Slark, but he will be suspended in his little bubble, and Shadow Demon saves the day again. Good job on the Shadow Demon getting there and getting the initiate and able to save this Slark. Mirana's saying, what just happened, guys? Play a little safer. I was kind of standing there in awe. Runes will be spawning in about 10 seconds, so let's see what comes down bottom. There is Dire Vision on this bottom rune and Radiant Vision on the top, so it looks like there will be pretty even split in terms of the runes. Bounty up top and Regen down bottom. Let's see who's going to claim what. Shadow Demon walking in towards this bounty. Is he just going to be guarding it, or is he going to grab it himself? Looks like he might be waiting for the Slark to come in and grab it, but Slark doesn't take the bait. He's looking for this PL up here. And is Mirana going to grab it? She does grab the bounty rune, puts it in her bottle, and pops it right away. Get herself some more mana and regen sustain off of that. Looks like Storm Spirit might be going to try to scout out the bottom rune, and he'll find, to his luck, an Observer with his empty bottle. A regeneration rune. Put it in his bottle and save it for later. Next big fight that comes out, and it looks like 3 Dire Heroes are going to be up top, scouted out by 4 Radiant. Are they going to be able to find which one is the real PL? That's the big problem in this game. It looks like he might tick. He does get hit up by 1 Mirana arrow. That's enough to take him down. See, I'm trying to TP away, but is there enough? No, she goes down to a Slark Pounce.
Go on, get out of here.
Really good kill on the Slark there. He now has 5 kills, 1 death, and 7 assists, so he's doing really well, putting in a lot of work for his team. No huge items yet, but he is building something big. Looks like an S and Y is going to be coming out for him. Lina trying to punish the Slark mid, does Yules him up and pops a stun, but the stun is just a little too early and he gets out just fine. Storm popping in. Not much item progression on the Storm right now. He does have his boots set to his boots set to intelligence, so he's trying to get all the mana he can out of this. Still the regen in the bottle, might have to pop that soon. The Fortify is being popped to stop this push up top from the Mirana, the Razor, and the Clinks. Lina doing what she can, popping her Q, but not really much else she can do. She does stun up. Mirana tries to leap but gets zipped in mid-leap. Dust coming out to prevent against the Mirana ults. And looks like Clinks is going to be trying to run away, but Razor might pay for this with his life. Era comes in, catches the CM, just buying them some time here. Radiant Courier, what are you doing? Courier gets pinged out. Looks like they're going for that. Razor does get picked off. And someone's microing the Courier now, trying to get it away, but PL will bring it down. There was 1,600 gold worth of stuff on that Courier, so that is a big loss for them. In terms of XP, it's some big swoops right here. It keeps going up for the Radiant and then back down with a shoddy team fight. So depending on how they go, double damage Slark. Is he gonna jump into these 3 Dire Heroes? No, he thinks better of it and just goes and farms up some Centaurs. Clinks is going down bottom just to get himself some more farm and clean up bottom. Looks like he will be building a BKB, and that'll help him survive against, Storm, Lina, and the Crystal Maiden. Dire rotating in mid. Slark is still double damaged up in this top jungle. He is not safe right now. He's going to get suffocated pretty soon with the Storm moving in and the other 2 Dire Heroes on the way. What is he doing? He's just a madman. He's really showing his presence. He's blocking this pull right there, so that's just going to annoy the Storm slightest bit. Crystal Maiden popping in. Are they going to find this Slark? He is jumping in behind the Centaur. He does pounce and he gets it off, but Centaur will not be tethered in place, and Slark's just going to pop some harass and force him back. He's also going to be taking down these creeps a fair amount and get himself some more farm. He does have his Sange all ready to go, so he just needs to fly that out as soon as the Radiant Courier respawns in about 1:40. Radiant rotating as a group, going down through this and to put down a Observer Ward that's going to spot out the Dire high ground near the bottom rune. But the Dire still does have an Observer Ward, so they are both going to be competing for vision in that area. Up top, Slark is still really pushing his advantage, staying in real deep in the Dire territory. He's just going to walk into Storm Spirit, and they're just going to trade blows, but it looks like Storm Spirit might be the one coming out on top. He zips away, feeling pretty scared, and Slark does pop the ult to get some quick regen. Storm Spirit grabs a bounty rune on his way back and is able to zip back to safety on his side of the map. So Slark just showing his advantage right there, showing how far he can push without really punishing it for it, getting punished for it. Phantom Lancer grabs the regen rune that was at bottom, and Mirana comes in saying, oh no, where'd the rune go? Lina pings out the Radiant Heroes here, and Shadow Demon going in really far. Mirana ult being popped, but they do end up hitting him with the dust, 2 sets of dust actually, and they do bring him down fairly quickly, Centaur getting the credit for the kill there. Slark grabs his S and Y as soon as the Courier's up, and it looks like the Courier is going to be bringing some goodies. Centaur does grab his Blink Dagger, which is going to be a really, really key piece for him later on, jumping into these pounces, and even just jumping away from Radiant Initiation, as they are very roam heavy. Lina pinging out mid down there. It looks like they do have vision of that pull from their Observer Ward down bottom. So all 5 Radiant heroes are going to be rotating bot lane. Clink's saying, you know, team, help! Oh my god, there's so many. They're going to get this tower down pretty easy if the Fortify is not popped. Alright, it looks like Shadow Demon's TPing in, Fortify being popped, but how much can Shadow Demon really do? Storm zipping in, grabs the Shadow Demon. He should be an easy kill for these guys. He does go down fairly quickly. And wow, what a chaotic fight right there. CM ult being popped, but it is not enough to do much. She does get taken down. So overall, it looks like it is a 3-for-2 trade, with 3 Radiant heroes going down to the Dire 2. But the Dire does lose their PL, which is pretty important as he needs to be really farming up, especially in this early to mid game. So in terms of XP, Radiant still has it in their favor. It's about 3,000. But the Dire are getting more and more map control, with an Observer Ward being put down right where the old Radiant Tower used to be. So they're showing that they're not afraid to rotate down the map and rotate to get these important kills and these important pushes. Lina cleaning up the tier 2 top, making sure that's not going to get pushed in anytime soon. And Storm cleaning up the middle. In terms of gold, Radiance does still sit at an advantage, about 2,500, but it is swooping down a little bit towards the Dire's favor, so another couple of team fights and they could come out dead even. Mirana goes down bottom and picks up a haste rune that'll help her get to her next fight pretty quickly. Pops her Mask of Madness. This is definitely a core Mirana right now, farming up pretty big. She hasn't had much item progression other than that, but she is sitting on 1,000 gold, and she's going to be taking this next camp too, so that'll help her out a little bit more with her farm. Clink's no more real item progression on him. Looks like he's still going for his BKB with about 700 gold in the bank, and he's going to be eaten up with his death pack, so he should get some good stats off of that. Shadow Demon spraying out his poison middle, pops up into a bubble. The Centaur, who stomps away. Razor coming in, trying to see if they can change this for the better, but there are 4 Dire heroes here, so it might be a little bit unsafe. A Dire Sentry Ward does get popped down, perhaps looking for the Moonlight Shadow if they decide to move in that way. So right now, no real change. Phantom Lancer is really pushing in this top lane and possibly going to end up making the Radiant rotate back to clean that up, although the Radiant are really looking for their fight. They get a really good arrow on this Centaur and stun him up. Razor pops his BKB for that fight, hoping it was something more than it was, but it really was just chasing the Dire back a little bit. So his 10-second BKB is now down, which is really unfortunate for him. He could have used that in a much bigger team fight, but he does show that he has it. He does show that he's farmed up enough to have it, so that's going to scare off the Dire a little bit and make fights a little less straightforward from now on. Dire are now grouping up bottom lane, trying to still get this tier 1 tower down that's sitting at about a 5th health. And on the courier, we do have a TP scroll being flown out to the Lina. Probably just forgot to grab one. She could have gone to the side shot, but oh well. And Radiant are now rotating into this jungle. Are they going to try to find this PL pickoff? Do they see him? Are they able to get onto him? Looks like Slark does see him, but they don't know which one's real. Looks like they are going to figure out which one's real just because of the extra damage being done to the illusions. Slark popping his death pack, trying to get him down low, does grab a really good pounce. Centaur ult comes down, but he's held in place, so he will end up going down with that. Centaur TP's in, but there's not really much she can do. CM ults is going to try to pick off this Slark, but Slark just does too much damage and is able to block a pretty good amount from his poor man's shield. So CM ult being popped, but she does end up going down. Gets the Slark down pretty low, but his ult's going to get him up real fast. Looks like we do have 2 Observer Wards on pretty much the same spots, getting out this bottom rune. It's going to come out in another minute 15. Slark does pick up another kill on top, grabbing the Storm Spirit, who probably tried to initiate on him and didn't quite end up successful in that. Dire are scared. They are running back to their high ground, saying, how do we stop this Radiant push right now? Alright, Mask of Madness being popped by the Mirana. She's hitting pretty good. She's hitting for about 170. And they do melt down that tower pretty fast. Mirana now picking up a lone Mud Golem to help her farm out a little bit. She has 1,000 gold in the bank, so she's able to start working on her next big item whenever she wants to. Dire are grouping up top again, trying to figure out if they can push this. Razor is still sitting top pretty nicely. He does have his BKB down to 9 seconds, but that's ready to go next team fight. Clinkz is using this opportunity to farm up. His BKB is now completed, still has it at 10 seconds, so he's able to have a lot of sustain in this next fight, especially against the ults. It looks like Crystal Maiden will get picked off by this Mirana that's just hitting like a truck right now. Usually see Miranas used more for their arrows and their ults, but this one is definitely being used for her fierce little right clicks. Slark, Moonlight Shadow being popped keeps the Slark alive, but he still does have his... He does not have enough mana for his ult, but he will have his ult off cooldown whenever he does have enough mana. Mirana Arrow just being used to pick up some nice farm right here.
Dire's bottom
So
tower
overall,
is
Dire
under
only lost to
attack.
Crystal Maiden, but that was a pretty big loss for them in terms of the fact that, you know, she popped her ult and she still couldn't get him down. Down bottom, Lina does clean off this Clinks that was pushing bottom lane, but Radiant will get their revenge. And they'll grab back the PL, and it looks like they're going to try to keep going on the Storm. Razor pops his BKB again. Slark gets used up, but he will be A-okay.
Middle tower has fallen.
Slark rotating in, does he see that there's Centaur blinking right in? Is he going to try to get him under tower? This tower is so low, Slark could just clean it up with a right click or two, and that's what he's going to be doing, but backdoor protection is not his friend. He looks like he's doing just enough damage to get it down.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Razor looks like he might be trying to build up his Ags, grabbing his point booster up first. That's the most expensive item of the Ag, so good move on him. Hastrian sitting up top, but there is no vision on that, so they won't see it. They might try to go for this bounty rune that is being scouted out by only the Dire Observer wards, but the Radiant team are pretty close, so they could just poke their nose down and see what's going on down there. It looks like that will be what happens, as the Courier is flying out a 4-staff recipe to the Shadow Demon, so just trying to give him more mobility in these team fights, especially when there's, you know, people being locked in place by the Storm and the Centaur. Dire team are staying on their side of the map, feeling pretty cautious right now. Storm is building his Oblivion Staff, so it looks like he's going for his Orchid. Pretty late in the game to be grabbing that, honestly, but it looks like it will help him out in the next team fights, being able to silence and amplify damage onto the Radiant team. So just Storm being out in his own, and the rest of them are really, really clustered up, feeling a little bit afraid of this Radiant team with on-point rotations, especially this Slark that can just pounce and take down heroes before they know what's happening to them. Another Radiant Observer ward comes out, trying to scout out this high ground ancient area and the rune spot. So Radiant are grouping up a little bit mid, but they decided not to push too much there. Looks like they might be rotating towards top. Are they going to be trying to pick off the Storm, who does grab himself a second Oblivion Staff? But more importantly, Arrow missing from the Mirana, and more importantly, Slark does have his Scotty right now. So that is going to be really huge for him. His right clicks are going to do that much more, slow that much more, and just hurt the Dire team as much as they can. They are sending 3 Radiant people to scout out the jungle and clean that off. Well, they're not sure how to defend against this push from the Dire down bottom. All the Dire heroes are rotating in there. Spare the Storm Spirit, who's cleaning up top. Slark will be scouted out by the team, but they can't really do much against him right now. He leaps back to safety. He does call in reinforcements, calling down the Mirana to say, you know, help us out. There's a lot of people rotating in. Moonlight Shadow being popped, so it looks like they're going to try to rotate and find them and maybe reinitiate. But the Dire team will scatter back to their own side of the map, and they should come out completely safe from this.
Illusion.
Moonlight Shadow going to expire in a second or two. Slark is pretty deep in the Dire territory. Is he ready to 1v5 them? Because it looks like that's what's going to be happening. He jumps in, but he does get Yuled up by the Lina. He does take down the Courier, but there was nothing on it. He picks off... Oh, sorry, the Mirana picks off the Crystal Maiden. So good kill on that. Just get something for the Radiant team after this big rotation. Are the Radiant ready to push high ground here? It looks like the Dire are mounting their defenses for that. Sitting right on the edge, feeling pretty scared, but it doesn't look like the Radiant are going to be able to push this up right now. There are all 5 heroes there, but I just don't think they have the CC and the control to really make what they can out of it. Looks like they might be going for a Roche attempt. Scouted out by the Clinks, he does start it off. So it looks like 3 heroes are going to be doing that. Mirana popping the arrow, so 4 heroes are going to be going for the Roche. Well, Slark might be distracting him mid. No, it looks like he might want to go for the Aegis. He might want to grab that off that. Storm Spirit does pick up his Orchids, so that'll help him out in the team fights, controlling the Dire abilities a little bit. Sorry, the Radiant abilities a little bit more. Dire figures out what's going on here, and they do use the Centaur charge in, and they're going to try to focus all their abilities on the Slark and bring him down, but meanwhile the Radiant will be able to pick off this Aegis pretty quickly. And Mirana picks up the Aegis. Storm Spirit does get the Slark, but is it worth it for an Aegis? I'm not sure. Mirana Arrow hitting an illusion, but not doing much there. So there are 5 Dire heroes in mid. They are smoked up, but it does pop when they run into the Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon being used up. Crystal Maiden getting really low, really fast. But she looks like she might be able to get out alive. She does pop her dust on the way out. And wow, the Dire have done a great job coming back from this. They killed off 4 of them. The only one left is the Mirana, who does have her Aegis, so not a big deal if she goes down. But overall, really great team fight in the Dire's favor. The Crystal Maiden getting out just barely alive. I was sure she would go down there. She does have 3 dusts in her favor. She had 4, but she popped one on the tail end of that fight just to prevent against any cheeky attempts by the Radiant to invis out of there. In terms of XP, while it is still in the Radiant's favor, there was a steep drop after that fight, down to only about 10,000, which is sizable, but nothing the Dire can't make up for if they continue to fight like that. In terms of gold, pretty much the same trend on the graphs, a little bit above 10,000 favor to the Radiant. And the Radiant does have, you know, bigger items. Mirana has her Manta already, 2 BKBs on the Radiant team, and Sanjin Yasha and Scotty from Slark, whereas, you know, the Dire are a little bit hungrier for their items. No one really has a completed Ags. The only real huge item is the Orchid and the Diffusal Blade, although Centaur does have a Halberd now, so he's going to be trying to do a lot of damage and disable the Radiant team for as much as he can. Mirana taking off these Ancients. She does have a Manta now, so she's going to try to beat PL at his own game and make as many damage-dealing illusions as she can. Shadow Demon scouting out this bounty rune top, but Storm zipping in. Storm does grab it. Shadow Demon trying to punish him for it, but how much can you really do? Orchid being popped on the Shadow Demon, but Mirana hits like a truck. Wow, she just cleaned that Storm Spirit right up. I don't know if the Storm Spirit expected her to be there or not, but either way, she is dealing about 200 damage per hit, and that's just for one of her. If she pops her Manta, she's going to do more than that. So Radiant team are going to gear up for another push down mid. It looks like the Dire team are going to group up on their high ground and figure out how best to stop that. They are going to walk under a Radiant Observer and Sentry Ward, but the Radiant pops down a Sentry Ward of their own and cleans up the Dire wards there. Mirana going to grab her Mjolnir now, so she's able to do more static damage and push a little bit harder than she was before. Razor and Klink's going to focus on these creep waves, while Mirana's going to group with her own creep wave and push up that way. So Dire are mounting a defense. There's 4 of them sitting up right now. Storm Spirit going to respawn in about 7 seconds, so the 5 Dire heroes are going to group up and just try to do what they can against this Radiant push. But do they have the CC? Centaur jumps in and stomps. Does Razor have time to get off his BKB? He doesn't. He falls to the Lina ult right away. Mirana getting Yulesed up just so her damage stays out of the fight longer. Lina ult comes out. Klinks is taking some heavy damage, but Slark pounces on the Storm Spirit. Storm Spirit zips away. Slark ults, but there's just so much damage being done. So much damage. Another dust being popped by the CM. Aegis popped on the Mirana. Well, Slark is going to try to take down this PL down bottom. He does get a successful pounce, but it looks like he will take him down. Although no, the PL does get away with only 33 health, and the Slark will pay for his life if he can. My goodness, what a great fight in terms of, you know, just people going down, abilities being used. Great CC. It almost split into 2 factions right there. You know, there was a top faction right there, and then Slark being chased down right there. Slark is back. He's going to try to chase down the Storm, but he does do some damage and then decides better of jumping onto the high ground right now. Shadow Demon grabbing a haste down bottom, running back into the fight as quickly as he can, bottling up to get his health back up. But I'm not sure the Radiant has the advantage to push right now. They did take down the Crystal Maiden and the Centaur in terms of the Dire, but they lose a good amount of their heroes. Slark dies and then buys back. Yeah, it looks like the only ones with buyback actually are the Slark, PL, and the Lina. So everyone else has used buyback or does not have enough gold for it. PL looking pretty beefy there. Only 3 charges left on his Diffusal Blade, so he can't rely on that for a whole lot longer, but he does have his Manta now, so he's just going to try to win this game by having more and more of himself. He's just going to try to bring him down with a horde. Dire team are pushing back on the mid. Going to try to get these creeps on the other side of the river so they don't have to worry about getting pushed into their high ground while they're out fighting somewhere else. Klinks and Razor are grouping up bottom, trying to clean up these creeps, get them back on the other side of the map. Klink's now with an Oblivion Staff of his own, so he's going to try to be building something nice and yummy with that. And Razor getting a little bit closer to his Ags. He does pick up an Oak Club into his stash, so he's only about 1,000. Sorry, less than 1,000 off from his Ags. He needs about 200 more to complete it, and he needs to fly it out to himself. So many PL illusions up top. Not really much they're doing. Dire are rotating into the jungle, cleaning up the jungle camps as best they can just to get some nice extra farm on there. The Shadow Demon is getting pinged up by the Dire, but he decides it's best to rotate back away. Slark is running into the Dire jungle, trying to see what he can find, but doesn't really find much. Is it going to go in these mid creeps? He is. Looks like he will be walking back down the lane, but a Centaur, he's going to run in right there. Centaur blinks, Moonlight Shadow being popped, trying to see if they can reinitiate on these Dire heroes that are running in. Slark will find a CM and a Lina. Who's he going to go for? Lina stuns up herself, does manage to grab the Slark.
Under attack.
There is a gem on the Lina, that's how she saw him. Really good pickup from her. Notice how she's gotten so much harassed from these invisible heroes like Clinks and Slark. So she's just really trying to figure out where they are. Dire are grouping back up on their high ground, feeling a little unsafe in their jungle after they saw the Slark walk all the way up the mid lane to about there. PL is going to run to the secret shop and grab himself a Reaver, so he could be going for a heart just to get himself tankier and his illusions tankier. Razor popping an illusion rune, just going to make more of himself and scout out the jungle and get as much vision as they can. While the Mirana, doing a nice job of hitting pretty goddamn hard with 3,500 gold in the bank, is going to be pushing in this top wave. Dire are wrapping around, they smoked up. Are they going to be trying to go for a really nice play on this Radiant? Are they going to be checking for Roche? It looks like they are going to find the Radiant smoke being popped. Are they going to bring down the Shadow Demon right away? He heals himself up. They're going on the Razor. Lina stun hitting the Shadow Demon, and he will be brought down by the Centaur. Sorry, by the Phantom Lancer. And Lina does get a nice kill on the Shadow Demon. So really nice job cleaning up from the Dire. Really good smoke gank, wrapping around, catching the Radiant unsuspecting. Although the XP swing doesn't seem that severe after that fight, after two real big pickoffs, the Radiant are still in complete control of the XP graph. And most likely, yes, the gold graph. Over 12,000 gold in favor of the Radiant. So while the Dire is doing really good things, they're doing smoke ganks, they're rotating smart, they're defending their base, is there just too much of an advantage on the Radiant side for them to come back from this? Storm zipping in, just trying to clean up these creeps as they're pushing into base pretty hard. Crystal Maiden having a pretty tough time getting her items up. Looks like she will have a Force Staff in the bank, but she's just been doing so much supporting, buying all the dust, buying all the wards. I don't know if she's going to have enough time to get the big items that she needs, you know, a BKB or an Ags or whatever she can do to get herself doing more damage, living longer in these fights. Regeneration rune on bottom, not scouted out by either team, so they're not going to know it's there, but they might be poking their head down to see when Roche is up. It should be a pretty quick respawn at this point. Storm grabbing that regen rune, zipping in, using his bottle charges. Will he be popping the regen rune just to get his mana back up? Doesn't look like he will right now. Radiant team are just rotating into the jungle. Not a whole lot they can do right now except clean up their own creeps. They are under vision of this Dire Observer ward, Slark pouncing out of the vision. Centaur ult being popped to initiate on mid. Razor is so big with this BKB right now. Slark is popping in, but he's going to get stunned up by the Lina. And he's going to be taking a lot of damage. He does have the Mjolnir on him, courtesy of Mirana. Can he just jump in? Moonlight Shadow being popped, but the the Dire team will be getting out just fine. Crystal Maiden pops a dust, but it does not hit onto anyone important. Arrow missing just shy of the Phantom Lancer, but they do ping him out. Moonlight Shadow still on the Radiant team, but they will get dispelled, and now they're all visible. They're running back to their side of the map, scouting out the Roche, which will be up. So they are going to be trying to take this Roche attempt, but the Dire does ping it out. Mirana's hitting so hard with this. Looks like she might be able to... They're not going to be going for this Roche, as there is a counter initiation from the Dire team. They're going to try to fight this fight. Crystal Maiden popping her ult, but she's taking so much damage, she just has to try to walk away, and she will end up going down. The Slark does go down in favor of the Dire team. They bring him down pretty quickly. Mirana popping her Manta, but she's stuck in the trees. There's really not much she can do. Clinks with this BKB trying to chase after this Lina, but she Force-staffs herself as far away as she can, and she looks like she will escape. Although the Shadow Demon illusions are doing a pretty good job of damaging her. Razor trying to go down. He pops. His BKB is still going, but there's not much else he can do except for run away. His ult is up. He has an Ag, so it's going to do a little bit more damage. But the Dire team are just really controlling the Radiant players, making them run for their lives. Hoof Stomp does miss on the Shadow Demon, but Lina right-clicks will be able to clean him up. So Lina is beyond godlike right now. She's sitting at a comfortable 13 kills with 10 assists, so really good job on her. She's building a lot of utility items. It looks like Phantom Lancer does end up picking the Razor off on the tail end of that fight. So Clinks being the lone survivor, TPing back to his tier 2 top tower, trying to clean up and just make that a little less of a loss for the Radiant, but they really do go down, and now it looks like there's a free Roche for the Dire team with a double damage rune sitting right outside. So they should be able to clean that up pretty quickly if that's where they decide to go, because
Damage.
the big damage dealers on the Radiant are still going to be down for another 20 seconds or so before they could get back into that fight. Lina stunning up the Roche, and PL doing the bulk of the damage in the tank. Centaur's coming in to help out, stuns him up with a hoof stomp. Another Lina stun coming out. Linken's being popped, and he will be giving up the Aegis pretty soon. Slark going back to the mid lane. Looks like he might have a suspicion of where the Dire is, but there's not much they can do at this point. Phantom Lancer does end up grabbing the Aegis the Immortal. That'll really help him out in his fights and just get as many Phantom Lancers up as possible. Even if he goes down, he can just come up and make more. Phantom Lancer is able to pick off his heart at the end of that, so he does now have a free inventory slot, and he's so goddamn tanky. 2,800 health and crazy amounts of regen. He's not going to be able to be brought down that easily, and even when he does, he's coming right back up. Mirana and Clinkz working together to bring down these Ancients. No real item progress from Mirana, but she is sitting on 3,200 gold. Looks like she is going to be saving for buyback. She does have buyback along with the Slark, but no one else on the Radiant team has enough gold for it. Looks like Slark will try to be scouting out these bottom lane Dire heroes, but he doesn't feel comfortable going too far in, as they do now have a Gem of True Sight on the Lina, giving her lots of vision. Even if there were to Moonlight Shadow in, there's no use. They can still be scouted out pretty easily. Slark getting pinged out. They know he's here. Centaur trying to find him, but no, he will run back onto the Dire side. Storm pulling him in. Is he going to be able to get out of this? Centaur ult being popped. Hoof Stomp is off the mark. Moonlight Shadow being popped. Storm is still seeing him. Dust being popped. He is still under vision. He just can't get away. He pops his ult. He's still under Moonlight Shadow. Looks like he will escape this time. Down bottom, though, the tier 2 tower taking some serious harass. Mirana going in for a deny attempt, leaps back to safety, but is not successful. So Dire are still very much in this game. They're now controlling the map. They're pushing in where they want to push and driving the Radiant heroes away. In terms of gold, it's swooping back down towards the Dire's favor, but it is still in the Radiant's advantage. And in terms of XP, it's almost back down to 0 with only a 2,000 lead by the Radiant. So these last few team fights have been really key in terms of evening out the playing field. Slark is going to find the Crystal Maiden sitting alone here, does miss the pounce, and she force-staffs herself back to safety away from the Razor's plasma field. Lina is sitting on, calling out Jukes in the odd chat. That was a very good force-staff from her. Her game sense was tingling. She knew it wasn't right, and she had to get out of there as fast as she could. She's sitting on about 1,200 gold, so it might be time for her to start building an item for herself, maybe selling this magic wand with 12 charges after she uses it in the next fight. I'm not quite sure what I'd recommend for her. I'd almost say BKB, just to let herself live a little bit longer when she's popping her ult. Up top, it will be the Clinkz Mirana duo pushing in as far as they can.
Stupendous!
Centaur is going to be trying to scout out for these Radiant heroes, and they're pushing into the tier 2 mid. Radiant might have to fortify and TP back for this, but it looks like the Mirana and the Clinkz are still going to be pushing in top, figuring they can trade this pretty well. Middle tower goes down. There are all 5 Dire heroes there. They are going to be pushing in pretty deeply. The Radiant realize they have to get back. They have to stop this. They will leave Clinkz up top to try to rat out, but they will duels up the Shadow Team, and he gets pulled in by the Storm Spirit, and Centaur ends up getting the kill on that. So Dire are feeling comfortable taking a fight on the Radiant's high ground turf. Slark being brought down really low, even his ult form, but it looks like he will be able to get away from that. Dust being popped, they do see him. Moonlight Shadow is up, but looks like the Dire aren't in any danger of that. They're just going to take these racks and get out. Clink's trying to do what damage that he can to the top tower, but looks like Radiant will be able to counter-initiate. Are they going to be able to bring down anyone important? Lina uses herself up. She does pop the ult and brings down the Razor. Aegis will pop on the PL, but he'll be back in 4 seconds and bring back even more angry PLs. Looks like he will illusion himself right out of there. Storm Spirit able to deny the tier 3 top, so that's pretty good in terms of keeping the gold advantage swooping towards the Dire's trend. Invis Rune down bottom, no one really taking that. It's going to be dispelled in another 30 seconds. Dire vision does go down, so they can't even see it anymore. Radiant are just trying to figure out what happened. They lost a fight on their own turf after having an advantage for so long. The net worth difference is now almost back down to 0, taking a sharp turn back from when the Radiant were able to push high ground on the Dire side. Illusion Rune getting replaced in the next 5 seconds here. Roche having a pretty long timer, not going to be up for 5 minutes or so. But the Aegis did just pop. Bounty Rune being replaced down bottom, as well as a Haste Rune top, and that Haste Rune is under Radiant Visions. They are going to see that, and Slark's going to... No, he's just going to ignore it for now. Probably go to the Secret Shop and pick himself up something fancy. Looks like he will grab an Abyssal, upgrading his Basher, so he can have a lot of control in the start of these fights and just stun up whoever he feels is going to be doing him the most damage.
Heist.
Centaur grabbing a pipe. I'm not quite sure if they had that in the last fight. I think I recall seeing a pipe come out, but that is going to help dispel some of this magic damage and keep their heroes alive a little bit longer. These cores are just getting so beefy right now. Lina does find a pick off the Clinks, who is probably wandering up pretty damn far, thinking he's safe with his invisibility. Lina does not have gem anymore. She probably handed it off to one of her friends. But the Clinks was just not safe in that situation. The Dire are doing a really good job carrying Dust and carrying Vision. Looks like the Dire are going to be chasing down this Slark. He does not have enough mana for his ult, thanks to the Diffusive Blade, so he's just going to be running for his life. He runs back into this Phantom Lancer, trying to bring him down as best he can. Abyssal being popped. He will be helped out by the Lina. Crystal Maiden popping her ult, but she has no tank to her. Looks like Razor's going to be trying to walk in and clean her up. Razor will just clean her up under her own ult. Getting Yulesed up. Arrow trying to come out, but off the mark, hits an illusion. Shadow Demon goes down. And Mirana getting picked off by the Storm Spirit.
Not enough for you.
And it looks like Lina will be able to take down 2 of them, the Slark and the Mirana. So Lina is just really on fire this game, pun intended. In terms of XP, that's actually putting it back in the Dire's favor. 6,000 difference in XP earned in favor of the Dire. So Dire are coming online. They're able to do the damage they need to. They're able to CC these team fights. In terms of gold, it is just starting to dip in the Dire's favor, which is really good because they've had a long time struggling to get their items. Illusion Rune coming down bottom. Roche should be up in a couple minutes. And Dire are pushing this top tower. PL's fine taking this tank. He doesn't hurt a bit. He still has his heart in tow. PL is the one holding the gem now for the Dire team. Probably a good idea because there's just so many of his illusions. They are going to be trying to push the tier 3, and the Radiant aren't really up. Clinks is ratting out the bottom lane, and there's not much the Radiant can do to stop this push. Are they going to grab another set of racks off of this? Looks like they will be able to. Fortify coming out for the Radiant team, and fight being initiated now. Razor getting Yulesed up immediately after his Plasma Field pops his BKB. Storm hitting on this Shadow Demon as hard as he can, but he will go down. So another 3. Radiant still dead, so there's only 2 up, and Clinks is still up top. Looks like Crystal Maiden will TP back to try to take care of this Clinks, who Shadow walks away and is TPing back to the Radiant base to help defend with his team, as the Dire are just going to hit on these tier 4s. They're not scared. They've got 2 lanes of racks down. They're ready to end. Centaur coming in with BKB. Looks like he will be fighting everyone else with a BKB. As the Clinks pops his as well to try to do as much damage as he can. Stomp coming out, but everyone will get Yulesed up. Lina's trying to run for her life as she's sitting very, very low, being hit by the Mirana. Clinks doing some damage, but Clinks gets brought down immediately by the Lina ult that just does so much damage right now. So it looks like they will pay with their Phantom Lancer, but they do end up getting a lane of racks and a tier 4. And pretty good damage on the second tier 4. So that is definitely a worthwhile trade for the Dire. They're able to come back from this great, great disparity. Storm zipping into the bottom lane, looking to clean up some creeps there. And the creeps are doing really good work on this top lane. The mega creeps are just able to melt down these regular Radiant creeps. And it looks like they're going to have to now, the Radiant team's going to have to now denote someone to just permanently clean up these creeps and stay in base, so they don't have as much of a push advantage. Although with the PL down, he does buy back because the Radiant team are going to be pushing the high ground here. Haste Rune down bottom. Is Storm going to pick that up and try to run back into the fight up top? Looks like Mirana's going to pop her Manta and try to run out as fast as she can with her Phase Boots. Although Storm does have... He does pass up the haste, but he's going to be trying to chase down the Mirana. She will get away just fine. She pops a Mjolnir on herself just to make sure she's going to be okay. So now 4 Dire heroes are comfortably sitting in mid.
Whoa, what'd I miss?
Razor going to be going down bottom, leaving Shadow Demon just defend his base. He's popping himself in the bubble just to get some illusions to do some more damage.
Heist.
Shadow Demon with an Ogre Club and a point booster, so looks like he might be going for an Ags. But it is a little bit late in the game to try to get anything out of the Aghanim Scepter at this point. He really should just be saving for buyback. and he does not have buyback at this point. The only people with enough gold for buyback are the Storm Spirit and the Crystal Maiden in favor of the Dire. Looks like a Roche attempt is coming out from the Dire team, unscouted out by the Radiant. They will have this free Roche for them. And is this cheese? I believe this is actually cheese. So another great advantage for the Dire team. Mirana Era coming in, stunning up the Lina, but doesn't do too much damage, just lets the Radiant know exactly where they are. So Phantom Lancer picking up the Aegis once again. Not quite sure who the cheese went off to. And it looks like the Dire are feeling pretty comfortable rotating as 5 and getting these pushes in. Radiant drawing the command to run over. Storm Spirit going to be zipping in. Is he looking for the Slark that's roaming loose in their jungle, taking down all their farm? He's going to go on this tomato and potato camp and bring them down pretty quickly, but Storm's going to zip in and pull him. He's going to get Orchided, but Moonlight Shadow is popped. There is no detection. Storm is the one that actually grabs the cheese. Is Stark going to be able to leap away? Centaur popping his BKB and stomping on the Slark, but Slark does pop his ult and is able to regen real damn fast. Pipe being popped on the Centaur just to make sure he gets out just fine. Phantom Lancer farming up this nice camp of Centaurs, getting himself a little bit more gold. What else can he really buy? He has a Monkey King bar, and he's hitting crazy. He's hitting for over 300 damage per hit. So his illusions are going to be doing slightly less than that, but they're still going to hurt. You don't want to be stuck in a wad of those. Klink's cleaning up the top lane with Boots of Travels. He's looking to be their rat, trying to push in their lanes when there's fights going on. But it looks like Phantom Lancer will be trying to see what's going on and notices that there's 4 Radiant heroes in their top lane trying to ping out his team and saying, you know, get ready for a top lane push. Mirana being the one stuck cleaning up the mega creeps from the mid lane. She does have her Scotty, so she's hitting very, very hard. And she does have a buyback ready with 460 gold surplus. So right now is kind of the calm before the storm. Both teams know what they need to do to win, but it's a matter of who can execute the cleanest team fight. Illusion Rune up top with a Bounty Rune down bottom. There is Dire vision of the Bounty Rune down bottom, but no one's going to want to rotate that far out of base to get it. Dire are a little bit scared right now. They know they have an advantage, but are they going to try to, you know, push it while they have it? Or are they going to turtle up in their base and wait for the Radiant to throw again? Huge, unbelievable swing in XP for the Dire, swooping down to over 12,000 experience from the Radiant's 12,000 experience. So it looks like this game is now heavily in the Dire's favor. They just need to make the clean plays that they've been playing before. Crystal Maiden does end up grabbing a Ghost Scepter, trying to dispel the damage being done to her a little bit, trying to make herself, you know, take herself out of the fight a little bit more. So Dire are now smoked up, rotating into their own jungle, trying to pick off Radiant people. Looks like they might find Slark. Is that going to pop any one of their smokes? Storm sees him. He's zipping. Centaur popping him. It looks like they will get him down real quick. Crystal Maiden actually end up getting the kill for that. And there is a gem laying on the ground. Storm Spirit's going to snap that up. He now has 2 gems on himself and sacrifices only his teleport scroll. Haste Rune down bottom for anyone that wants to run into the fight nice and quick. Looks like it will be Razor and Shadow Demon sitting down bottom. Razor now with an Aghanims and an SNY, so he's hitting fast and he's hitting hard. And his ult is able to do a lot of damage, not only to heroes, but also to towers. Shadow Demon with an Ags as well, so he's got some beefy stats inputs, and his illusions are going to do a lot more damage. Looks like the Dire are gearing up for a push in. They might just want to end it. There's no racks here for them to get, but a half health tier 4 are going to be scattered out by the Shadow Demon. Uses himself up to try to be safe, but he will get stomped up, Lina stunned up, and it looks like he will be able to go down pretty quickly. He puts himself in a bubble to try to get him some time. Mirana doing as best she can to clean up this PL. She is doing a lot of damage. Shadow Demon goes out, Slark goes down, buys himself back, trying to make this last defense. Mirana going down, Slark going down again really, really quickly. BKB from the Centaur really paying off. Stomps again, tries to get the Slark down low. Looks like Razor will be going down as well. Slark being used up, trying to get himself out. He will be able to purge it off. But looks like the tier 4 is going to be going down to a pesky Phantom Lancer. Mirana leaping back. Crystal Maiden ult coming out, but she will end up paying for her life. This Dire team really showing their advantage. They now have an open Ancient. They're ready to push. There's a gem sitting on the ground, but they don't even care. They're ready to end right now. Unbelievable swing from the Dire as they're able to clean up all the Radiant heroes in a row. Are they going to win right here? Is this the push? There's a Klinks right there, but that is not giving them much trouble. Lina's able to clean him up. GG's come out. Dire comes back from an unbelievable disadvantage in the early and mid game. Great plays, great items coming out, and just a really wonderful turnaround. The team playing as 5, really cohesive, able to just absolutely take this fight, absolutely play cleanly, and push against a really sharp disadvantage. Really well played by all the Dire heroes. There was just a lot of skill being popped in this game. But really good job, really entertaining game. Back and forth was crazy. That experience swing in about 50 minutes was just unbelievable. I was not expecting that. I was expecting quick push and end by the Radiant, but the Dire were able to turn it around. Really well played by all. So once again, I'm Annie, aka Android, and thank you for listening to my cast. Feel free to give any feedback and comments. I really appreciate hearing it as I'm just starting out. So thank you guys again. Bye!